Hi, my name's Olivia Flanagan. I'm going to be doing my PowerPoint on universal basic income, which is basically like just a set stipend that every citizen receives to supplement their income. Introduction. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, is gaining momentum worldwide. Switzerland held a referendum on the introduction of a nationwide UBI, which it rejected, in 2016. Finland is currently testing it for some people, and India is considering replacing its welfare state with a UBI. The UBI is an unconditional cash payment that flows monthly from the state budget to everybody. It is transferred from public to private accounts throughout an entire lifetime from birth to death without any application or preconditions to be fulfilled by the beneficiary. It is supposed to cover the socio-cultural subsistence minimum. You also see from people on the left the idea of UBI as promoting freedom. So this will be relevant in a little bit, so remember the concept of promoting freedom. Background Part 1. The graying generation refers to the world's population aging. Eventually, there will be more older people than younger. As technology advancement increases, fertility rates of the first world countries go down. This means that the labor force is not only smaller, but working into what should be their retirement years. So that's something to look forward to, right? An example of graying generations would be Japan. And I'm also going to... An example of a non-graying generation would be China. Japan, a democratic first world country, has issues with the graying generation. They do not allow immigrants in like the U.S. does, and their youth are working, not marrying, and not having children. This means their fertility rate is going down. Due to this, the governments are implementing incentives for their citizens to have children. China, on the other hand, is a communist developing country. They have an overpopulation problem, so severe, in fact, that they implemented the one-child rule. And the one-child rule is interesting because it's basically a policy where within city limits, citizens are only allowed to have one child, no more. And this leads to a gender imbalance because people prefer baby boys to baby girls. So if they find out they're having a girl, they'll have an abortion. Let's see. So overall, this shows that as countries develop, their workforce gets older. So a first world country is more likely to have an older workforce than a third world country. And this ties back to the first slide with the idea of UBI as promoting freedom. As countries develop, they tend to have better technology, a more democratic government, so like the domino effect. The more democracy there is, the faster and more it spreads. And the opposite is true. If the more communism there is, the more that spreads. The more socialism there is, the more that spreads. And yeah, as countries develop, they tend to be more democratic, and they tend to start leaning towards policies like universal health care, and as we move forward, UBI. Background Part 2. In addition to an aging population, AI taking over the workforce is another reason to need basic income. The basic fact is that technology destroys jobs but not work. Estimates vary, but experts converge on a transformative window of 10 to 30 years for AI to reshape most jobs. 30% of current U.S. jobs could be automated, and up to 50% of jobs could be fully automated by 2045, driven by generative AI and robotics. Before the pandemic hit, 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang put UBI, also known as Guaranteed Basic Income, on the map by making it his signature policy. His proposed freedom dividend, $1,000 per month payments to every American adult, was a response to job displacement by automation. Nowadays, one of the strongest tailwinds for a UBI comes from rapid technological change. A large part of the work now done by people could be taken over by robots. Concerns are rising about the future of employment, the viability of social welfare, and the financial stability of social security systems. Furthermore, tax systems that rely on labor income might come under pressure because robots do not pay taxes or make contributions to social security systems. Finally, technological change may result in increased inequality within a society, and a stronger polarization between capital owners and the labor force, especially the lower skilled workers. So, the second age of the machine refers to basically the second industrial revolution that we're occurring in with AI. So the first technology revolution with the introduction of what do you call it? Factory work led to a lot more jobs, especially in the cities. AI is actually leading to less jobs. So that's the difference there. Data and facts. The idea of a UBI is not new. The origins go back to the 19th century. Some key economics personalities would be Julia Rise Williams, Milton Friedman, and James Tobin. So as early as 1943, they were talking about UBI. Personal experiences. A lot of socialist policies overlap with universal basic income. This includes basics such as government-funded healthcare. Personally, when I was a kid, I got a little bit of money from the government each month for being in a single-parent household. It helped a lot and is the main reason I was able to do sports as a kid. Provide vivid descriptions, part 1. I'm not going to go over every single country that has UBI, but a few key ones would be the United States, which has implemented numerous pilot programs at the city and state levels. Canada, also several pilot programs, with the Ontario pilot being a more recent example. Finland ran a 2-year basic income experiment from 2017 to 2018. And the United Kingdom, a pilot program started in England in 2022, is set up to run until 2025. Most of these studies found that the same amount of work was done, drug usage lessened, and there was improved education. Economic effects, part 1. Will people still work if the incentive is gone? Economically, many predicted no. However, studies show that this is not a large issue. People do tend to work less if it's not an incentive, but for the example, Brazil, they put a condition on the stipend saying that you have to work in order to receive it. So there are workarounds. Economic effects, part 2. These are the cons. Benefits, not cons. Poverty and inequality reduction, economic stimulus, improved health and well-being, support for the changing labor market. So that's like what we talked about with AI. Support for unpaid work, closing the gender gap, increased work incentives. And here are the cons. It's high cost, reduced labor force participation, inflation, funding challenges, and potential for negative impacts. Conclusion. Overall, it seems that countries as a unit are moving forwards, developing societies that live longer, work less, and are more technologically advanced. Are we heading towards universal basic income? I would say yes. It's my works cited page, and that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day. Goodbye.